In a striking contrast to Apple's failed foray into electric vehicles, Chinese tech giant Xiaomi has successfully marked its entry into the electric vehicle EV market, unveiling the SU7 Ultra, a model that showcases the rapid evolution of China's automotive industry. While Apple abandoned its ambitious car project after nearly a decade and a staggering $10 billion investment, Xiaomi managed to launch its first electric car within just 3 years, delivering 135,000 units last year and aiming to double that figure in 2025. Xiaomi's swift success can largely be attributed to its ability to leverage China's extensive manufacturing supply chain, which has been finely tuned for electric vehicle production. This infrastructure allows companies like Xiaomi to acquire components quickly and at lower costs compared to foreign rivals. Xiaomi has really started infiltrating your home, said Gary Ng, an economist with Natixis Corporate and Investment Banking, highlighting the integration of its devices and services across various platforms. The debut of Xiaomi's SU7, a sedan equipped with artificial intelligence features for tasks such as parking and controlling home appliances, has positioned the company as a formidable player in the electric vehicle sector. Priced around $30,000, the vehicle aims to deliver performance comparable to high-end brands like Porsche at a fraction of the cost. "My goal is that it performs like a Porsche," said Xiaomi's CEO Li Qiang, emphasizing the brand's ambition to redefine consumer expectations in the EV market. Xiaomi is not alone in this burgeoning sector. Other Chinese firms such as BYD, Li Auto and Leapmotor are also beginning to turn profits after years of fierce competition in the world's largest auto market. These companies have benefited from substantial government support, enabling them to control the entire supply chain, including critical components such as batteries. This advantage has allowed them to scale production and respond rapidly to market demands, pushing traditional automakers to reassess their strategies in this increasingly competitive landscape. The broader implications of Xiaomi's success are significant. As the company introduces new models such as the upcoming SUV YU7, it is not only challenging established luxury brands but is also reshaping consumer perceptions of what a tech company can achieve in the automotive space. The SU7's integration with Xiaomi's ecosystem, allowing users to customize their vehicles through an app, demonstrates the potential for cross-industry innovation that could set new standards. Furthermore, Xiaomi's rise serves as a reminder of the shifting dynamics in global trade and technology. As the U.S. grapples with its own economic challenges and trade disputes, particularly under the Biden administration's ongoing tensions with China, the success of companies like Xiaomi underscores the growing influence of Chinese firms on the world stage. In contrast, Apple's retreat raises questions about the feasibility of tech giants diversifying into sectors that require distinct manufacturing capabilities and supply chain management. Looking ahead, analysts speculate that Xiaomi's vehicles will soon hit international roads, expanding its market reach beyond China. "It is just a matter of time before Xiaomi cars are on the road outside China," said Cui Dongshu, Secretary General of the China Passenger Car Association, indicating a potential shift in global automotive trends. As Xiaomi continues to capitalize on its technological prowess and China's manufacturing capabilities, the question remains: will Apple reconsider its strategy in the automotive sector, or will other tech giants attempt to fill the void left by its departure? The landscape of electric vehicles is rapidly evolving, and with companies like Xiaomi leading the charge, the future promises to be dynamic and competitive. As China's National People's Congress (NPC) convenes this week, the spotlight is firmly fixed on the government's economic strategy amid a backdrop of increasing geopolitical tensions and domestic challenges. The annual gathering, which includes thousands of delegates from across the nation, serves as a platform for the ruling Chinese Communist Party to communicate its priorities for the upcoming year, despite decisions having largely been predetermined behind closed doors. The NPC's significance lies in its ability to relay the government's messaging and provide a glimpse into its policy direction. This year, analysts are keenly observing how Beijing plans to navigate its dual objectives of fostering innovation while simultaneously stimulating domestic consumption. With the specter of a potential escalation in the US-China trade war looming, exemplified by President Donald Trump's recent tariff hikes, how the Chinese government articulates its economic growth targets will be critical. Premier Li Qiang, who will announce the growth target during the Congress, is expected to set the bar at around 5%, a figure consistent with the previous 2 years but lower than the 5.5% target set in 2022. This conservative estimate reflects the ongoing struggles within China's real estate sector and tepid consumer spending, factors that continue to hamper economic momentum. The International Monetary Fund has projected an even more tempered growth rate of 4.6%. Underscoring the challenges ahead. China's official Xinhua news agency has hinted that the government will prioritize boosting domestic demand and promoting technological innovation. During a recent meeting with industry leaders, President Xi Jinping conveyed a strong message of support for the private sector, indicating a potential shift towards more favorable policies for businesses. A draft bill aimed at creating a fairer business environment is slated for discussion during the Congress, further indicating the government's intent to bolster private enterprise as a means to stimulate the economy. However, some experts remain skeptical about the extent of these proposed measures. Jacob Gunter, lead analyst at the Mercator Institute for China Studies, cautioned that significant policy shifts away from industrial priorities towards consumer spending may not materialize. The purpose of the economy is no longer to improve household incomes and expand the middle class, he noted, suggesting that the focus is now more geopolitically oriented, emphasizing self-reliance in technology and industry over traditional economic development. In addition to economic matters, the Congress will also touch upon China's foreign relations, particularly with the United States. Li is expected to address foreign policy issues, with Foreign Minister Wang Yi's subsequent news conference likely to provide further insights into China's stance in the increasingly contentious US-China relations. Following recent retaliatory tariffs against U.S. goods, analysts are closely monitoring how China will position itself in this ongoing trade dispute, especially as Xi's administration seeks to navigate the complexities of international diplomacy. Moreover, the concurrent session of the Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference (CPPCC) will focus on social issues, including a controversial proposal to lower the legal marriage age in an effort to combat declining birth rates. This proposal highlights the broader demographic challenges facing China, which has seen its population decrease for the first time in 6 decades. Critics argue that addressing the underlying societal pressures such as the high cost of living and educational expenses will be more effective in reversing this trend than merely adjusting legal frameworks. As the NPC unfolds, the implications of the decisions made during this pivotal gathering will resonate far beyond China's borders. Observers will be closely analyzing the outcomes, particularly regarding economic forecasts and policy shifts, as they reflect not only China's strategic priorities but also its responses to global economic pressures and diplomatic challenges. The direction set at this year's Congress could very well lay the groundwork for China's economic landscape through the end of the decade, making it a crucial moment for both the nation and the world at large. As China gears up for a pivotal year in its economic timeline, the foundations laid in the lead-up to 2025 reflect a blend of resilience, strategic foresight, and adaptive policymaking. The recent surge in China's economy since September 2024, highlighted by significant GDP growth in the fourth quarter, illustrates a robust start to the year. This momentum is attributed to a series of targeted stimulus measures and high-level policy frameworks designed to address structural challenges and foster new engines of growth. In a recent article published in the Qiushi Journal, President Xi Jinping acknowledged both the challenges posed by a changing global landscape and the inherent strengths of the Chinese economy. Despite facing external pressures, the fundamental trend for long-term growth remains unchanged, Xi stated, emphasizing the need to harness the nation's resilience and potential during turbulent times. The current economic environment is characterized by dual realities: navigating external risks while seizing domestic opportunities. This balancing act is particularly critical as 2025 marks the culmination of the 14th Five-Year Plan, which has served as a strategic blueprint for high-quality development and technological innovation. It also heralds the launch of the 15th Five-Year Plan, setting the stage for the next phase of growth amid evolving challenges. Central to this economic strategy is the government's approach to harmonizing market efficiency with proactive governance. The National Development and Reform Commission (NDRC) has recently unveiled guidelines aimed at building a unified national market, which is expected to lower transaction costs and foster a conducive environment for technological innovation and business development. As Matteo Giovannini, a finance professional at the Industrial and Commercial Bank of China, pointed out, deregulating key industries and encouraging private sector participation will be instrumental in driving this transformation. Experts have lauded the adaptability and resilience inherent in the Chinese economy, particularly following the Central Economic Work Conference, which established a positive foundation for 2025. Michael Borchmann, a former official in Germany's economic department, remarked China's GDP growth of 5% in 2024 despite global headwinds reflects the steady expansion of domestic demand and the results of industrial transformation. However, the upcoming National People's Congress (NPC) could present new challenges as it convenes amid intensifying U.S.-China trade tensions. With President Trump imposing new tariffs on Chinese imports, the government faces pressure to respond effectively. Analysts predict that Premier Li Qiang will announce a growth target around 5%, mirroring the previous years amidst expectations of a slowing economy due to the impact of tariffs. During the NPC, attention will likely focus on the government's priorities, including efforts to boost domestic consumption and innovation in science and technology. The recent meetings between President Xi and business leaders signal a commitment to support the private sector, a critical engine for job creation and economic dynamism. As the NPC unfolds, the messaging from Chinese leadership appears steadfast. The focus remains on fostering innovation while navigating the complexities of external pressures. The outcomes of this year's Congress will not only elucidate the government's immediate priorities but also provide insights into the strategic direction for the forthcoming five-year plan. Looking ahead, the interplay between domestic initiatives and global challenges will invariably shape China's economic landscape. As the world watches, the nation's ability to adapt and innovate in response to both internal and external stimuli will be crucial in determining its economic trajectory in 2025 and beyond. The road ahead may be fraught with challenges, but China's commitment to resilience and growth remains unwavering. In recent weeks, China has ramped up its military presence in the Pacific, sending a striking message to both regional neighbors and the United States. As the Biden administration grapples with multiple global crises, including the ongoing war in Ukraine and tensions in the Middle East, Beijing appears to be seizing the opportunity to assert its influence and territorial claims. This strategic maneuvering has heightened concerns among countries across the Indo-Pacific, particularly in light of the shifting U.S. priorities under President Donald Trump. In a series of military drills that have drawn international attention, China conducted live-fire exercises in the Gulf of Tonkin shortly after Vietnam announced a new baseline for its territorial waters in the area. The drills, which occurred from February 24 to 27, involved a notable display of force, including 3 naval vessels equipped with significant firepower. This display coincided with a period where the U.S. military focus seems to be diverted, raising questions about its commitment to countering China's growing assertiveness in the region. Experts have noted that these exercises, while not large in scale, serve an important purpose in signaling China's military capabilities and intentions. Wen Kokjiang, a fellow at the SU7 Ultra Institute, remarked the timing, with many in the Indo-Pacific region concerned about the U.S. commitments under President Trump, is just perfect. The exercises underscore China's strategy to project power and influence, compelling neighboring countries to reconsider their diplomatic alignments and defense strategies. The implications of these actions are significant. As China continues to test its military boundaries, it not only reinforces its claims over disputed territories such as Taiwan and the South China Sea, but it also sends a clear signal to nations like Vietnam and Australia, which have historically relied on the US as a counterbalance to Chinese power. In fact, Australia's response to the presence of Chinese naval vessels in the Tasman Sea was one of concern, as the ships conducted live-fire exercises without prior notice, forcing commercial flights to alter their routes due to safety precautions. Chinese ambassador to Australia Xiao Qian defended the naval operations, stating that as a major power in the region, it is normal for China to conduct various military activities. However, this justification has not alleviated the anxieties of Australia or its allies, who fear the potential for miscalculations and unintended conflicts. The geopolitical landscape is shifting, and as Admiral Samuel J. Papero, the top U.S. commander in the region, indicated, American forces are now operating on increasingly thin margins for error. The recent military maneuvers have also reignited fears in Taiwan, where the government has expressed concerns over the frequency of Chinese aircraft entering its Air Defense Identification Zone (ADIZ). Taiwan's Ministry of National Defense condemned the exercises as a direct threat to regional stability. President Trump's ambiguous stance on U.S. intervention in Taiwan further complicates the situation, leaving Taiwan policymakers anxious over their future security. Meanwhile, Vietnam's measured reaction to the Chinese drills highlights its delicate balancing act in the face of rising tensions. While Vietnam has strengthened its legal claims in the Gulf of Tonkin, it has opted for a cautious diplomatic approach, prioritizing dialogue with China and seeking to avoid escalation. This strategy reflects Vietnam's broader goal of enhancing its defense capabilities through partnerships with countries like Australia, France, and New Zealand, all while maintaining its four-nose policy, which emphasizes no military alliances. As the situation continues to evolve, the South China Sea remains a flashpoint for potential conflict. With major powers like the US and China vying for influence, the region is likely to see an increase in militarization and strategic posturing. The recent drills conducted by China, particularly in conjunction with the global distractions posed by the Ukraine conflict, underscore a calculated effort to solidify its presence and assert its claims. In conclusion, the military activities in the Pacific highlight a pivotal moment in regional security dynamics. As countries grapple with China's assertiveness and the ambiguities of U.S. foreign policy, the path forward will require careful navigation of alliances and defense strategies. The interplay between major powers in the region will undoubtedly shape the geopolitical landscape, necessitating vigilant responses from nations like Vietnam, Taiwan, and Australia in the face of an increasingly assertive China. As tensions rise, the international community will be watching closely to see how these developments unfold and whether they herald a new era of conflict or cooperation in the Pacific. In the wake of the devastating Hamas attack on October 7, 2023, the diplomatic landscape between Israel and China has shifted dramatically, revealing the complexities and potential pitfalls of international economic relations amidst geopolitical turmoil. Once heralded for their burgeoning economic ties, the relationship between these two nations is now strained as China's diplomatic stance appears to favor the Palestinian cause, raising questions about the future of their bilateral trade and investment. Israel was the first country in the Middle East to recognize the People's Republic of China in 1950, marking the beginning of what would become a multifaceted relationship. Over the decades, both nations cultivated strong economic connections, with China emerging as Israel's second-largest trading partner after the United States. In fact, as of 2023, approximately 12% of Israel's international commerce in goods was conducted with China, primarily focused on imports, which have seen significant growth, from $5.6 billion in 2013 to a peak of $13.1 billion in 2022, before a slight decline in 2023. However, the economic narrative is complicated by a substantial trade imbalance favoring China. Israeli exports to the PRC, largely composed of electronic components, have stagnated since peaking at $4.77 billion in 2018, dropping to $3.4 billion in 2023, a decline attributed to various factors including changes in market demand and the geopolitical climate. This backdrop of economic interdependence is now under scrutiny as China adopts a more pronounced pro-Palestinian rhetoric following the recent violence. China's official response to the Hamas attack was cautious and calculated, while Beijing sought to project a neutral stance. Urging for peace talks and condemning violence, its overtures appeared to align more with Palestinian sentiments. The Chinese Foreign Ministry's calls for international engagement on the Palestinian issue and its subsequent meetings with Hamas officials have raised eyebrows in Jerusalem. A particularly telling moment occurred in February 2024 when China's legal advisor to the Foreign Ministry characterized Israel as an occupying force, a declaration that further alienated Israeli officials. The implications of China's diplomatic pivot are profound. As Israel grapples with the fallout from increased Chinese engagement with Palestinian factions, there are concerns about the long-term viability of their economic relationship. The Israeli government, which had previously enjoyed a marriage made in heaven with China, now faces a daunting question: how long can they overlook China's diplomatic maneuvering without repercussions for their economic ties? Observers note that China's strategy may not be driven purely by ideological support for Palestine but could also reflect a broader geopolitical calculus. By positioning itself as a champion of the Palestinian cause, China seeks to enhance its image in the Middle East and bolster its economic interests, particularly in energy security and the Belt and Road Initiative, while simultaneously navigating its relationships with adversarial nations like Israel and Iran. As the international community watches closely, the future of Israel-China relations remains uncertain. Will Israel continue to engage with China economically, or will it reassess its ties in light of Beijing's apparent favoritism towards the Palestinian cause? The re-emergence of tensions in the region may compel both nations to rethink their strategies, ultimately leading to a recalibration of their relationship. In conclusion, the evolving dynamics between Israel and China underscore the intricate interplay of diplomacy, economics, and regional stability. As Beijing positions itself as a key player in Middle Eastern geopolitics, Israel must navigate these challenges with caution, ensuring that its economic interests are safeguarded without compromising its national security or diplomatic integrity. The coming months will be crucial in determining whether the two nations can find a way back to a cooperative framework or if the schisms created by recent events are too deep to bridge.